It's been 7 hours and 50 days since you took your love away.
Again with that breaking news from the music world.
The sad news of the death of the singer Sinead O'Connor.
We start the show with some very sad breaking news. The Irish music legend Sinead O'Connor has died at the age of just 56. She was a troubled and beautiful soul, fearless, uncompromising, shocking, courageous. She was a rebel at heart.
Saddened to hear about the passing of Sinead O'Connor.
So if you do your job properly, which is be yourself and conduct that relationship with yourself and your soul honestly, then people will hear that in your music and get the message, which is be yourself at any cost.
Eat my dinner in a fancy restaurant.
We have an amazing woman we need to talk about.
These things were used to manipulate children for generations back. It's all about child abuse, basically.
Nothing compares to you.
Let's talk about her.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Trauma.HQ. My name's Olivia and this is where we sit by the pond and we have a little chat. And today I want to pay a big homage to an Irish hero, a woman hero, a hero for children everywhere, and that is Sinead O'Connor. She died last week, and unfortunately, what this whole channel is about, she took her life because of trauma. And I feel so much because of this woman. She was a big icon when I was growing up, and I just found her so unbelievably fascinating. I did actually put up an emotional video of her on TikTok, and a few people have seen it, and it's amazing that it touched so many people as well and opened the eyes to quite a few people that don't know anything about what had happened from our own home country. I've gone through so much of the archives of her interviews, and in all honesty, the woman was way, way ahead of her time. She was a very, very unique individual. She was unbelievably intelligent, and she had suffered massively from the day she was born. And she was the first person to ever go against the biggest giant that has ever existed, and that was the Catholic Church. I really do hope that today's podcast does justice for this amazing woman. I'm still emotional about it. Even talking about her is quite difficult because I just think of how amazing she was. I'm going to say this right now. I would highly recommend that everyone watches every single interview that she's ever done, because she was super intelligent, so out there and so courageous. So if we have to learn from anyone for the rest of our lives, it should be her. She was the bravest woman of our time. Strike that. The bravest person of our time. He's so sweet. Don't bother me. I love him. I sent a message to my partner saying, does my hair look okay for this? But you know what? I am going to do obscene hair for this woman because she is the first real rock pop singer that decided to do everything with a shaved head because she wanted to go against the norms. And we're going to look at a couple of things of what she said in Dr. Phil's interview after she had her hysterectomy, just to learn exactly what happened with her and just how amazingly strong this woman was to go through life with all of the traumas that she had. She had her outlets. The thing that tipped her over the edge brought her back again to her childhood. So let's watch an interview with one of the most inspirational people that ever existed.
You posted a video on Facebook a few weeks ago that had a lot of people concerned about your well-being. I can't tell you how many messages we got from people. I'm really sorry it took me this long to find you.
I'm not, because I'm so happy that you did. But isn't it funny how God works in very mysterious ways? Because this all kicked off, this few years of nightmare started with a kidney stone. But now I'm glad, because if not for the kidney stone, I wouldn't have had the pity party that made me make the video. And we wouldn't be sitting here now, you know?
All the people who are supposed to be loving you and taking care of you
not treating you like
Are you talking about your family?
Yeah, now obviously I want to be really clever because, like, I love my family and I don't blame them. It's not easy for families of mentally ill people. We can be difficult. What happened was I had been writing to my family, begging letters, you know, and angry letters and raging. And I don't want to make out like I'm a victim here. I give it as good as I get. I was an ass to my family. I thought it would be better maybe my family might, if they saw how I'm feeling, they would relate to it. You don't even care.
Oh, there's an awful lot just in that, isn't there? Started with kidney stones. There's a desperation that comes whenever you end up going through physical health. Your consciousness changes whenever you're going through these sort of dynamics. Like something shifts in you. Like you could be the most independent person in the world, but the thing is, you will always be human and you will always need someone. It doesn't matter how much you say that you want to live off the grid by yourself and not see anyone for the rest of your life. Being with people is going to determine your existence to the very end. We can't be alone. As humans, we are pack animals. So being alone is not something that we're supposed to experience. I sympathize with that massively. Last year, I had a hugely traumatic experience involving my health. And I don't know when I can actually talk about it on here. I couldn't walk. I couldn't speak. I couldn't do anything. And in a family group chat, we were all on video and I was incoherent because I couldn't speak. The things that were coming out, it was like I had the most horrific tremors that you've ever seen. And my family, my dad got really, really concerned and he threatened to send my mum out. And I was like, no, I'm good. Actually, it was more like, no, I'm good. I can make fun of it now. Trauma. It gives you a good sense of humor. It's in those times that you actually do see, will your family be there for you or not? And mine wasn't. One of my sisters did actually try to show concern. Of course, it's really hard whenever the entire country was in lockdown. But, you know, there was only so much they could do. I wanted connection. And when I went home, I learned my place. I learned that I wasn't accepted. I was still suffering massively from the effects of what had happened to me. And I was shown nothing. So it's heartbreaking whenever your own tribe, the tribe that you were born into, because like I said, like families they are our tribes. And it's heartbreaking to see them exile you. So I completely sympathize with what she went through in this.
I hoped in my kidney stone madness that my family would see it and go, oh my God, we didn't realise it's that bad, we'll go get her. I rang one of the fathers of my children, who happened to be 5 miles away from me in New York at the time, and had my 10-year-old child and didn't bring him to see me.
Are you mentally ill?
I don't believe I am, no. Unless you say that complex post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental illness. I've had a psychiatrist. One psychiatrist told me I'm the sanest person he's ever met, which of course everyone laughs at when I say that. Also, I'm a child abuse survivor, very severe child abuse survivor, so, you know, I'm a little out there. I'm unusual, irregular, eccentric.
Yeah, I have CPTSD as well. She will go into this, and we'll wait until we go into this, but her childhood was like, there are no words to describe what she went through. She had a horrific childhood, and that was it within her own home. The thing is as well, so I had a psychiatrist as well. I had to get diagnosed for ADHD. Part of the background is that they want to know what you were brought up in. What was your background? What was your family life like? And I told my psychiatrist I was brought up in Northern Ireland, the war. So, you know, I was there. I saw the troubles. That was no big deal. And he goes, oh, that must have been very hard. I was like, no, it was a picnic. And it really was. Everyone in Northern Ireland will actually say, it's just troubles. You know, that's why even the word, it was just trouble. You know, we didn't even give a serious enough word for it because it was nothing to us. It's like, oh yeah, bomb's gone off. Okay, fair enough. We didn't care. We did not care. But I did say that what happened on the outside of the home, I felt safer walking down the street knowing that I could get blown up at any point, as opposed to being in my own home. So when you have your safe space that is not safe, and the world that you are walking around in, you can actually say that that is safer than the world that is supposed to be safe for you, that there's something wrong there. It was the way of life for a lot of us.
What kicked all of this off really was that I had a hysterectomy, a radical hysterectomy in Ireland 2 years ago, and I lost my mind after that. And that's, I think, what happened with my family, and we have to give my family credit, and you know, they're not here to speak for themselves, so I don't want to disrespect them, but the fact is they didn't know who the hell I was.
Okay, so this is something that we really need to address. Regardless if you have had an amazing life, when you go through the trauma of losing any body part, your body goes into mourning as well. So never mind the fact that she's actually lost something that will cause hormonal differences, like dramatic hormonal differences. Never mind the past traumas that she's had. Just the act of losing something of your body alone is enough for your body to go into complete and utter meltdown. I see this all the time. Like, I had a friend who, she had one of her wisdom teeth removed, and she said she felt absolutely fine. There was no pain in her jaw or anything, but her entire body was shaking. She was hot. Your body goes into mourning because it doesn't know what's just happened. It just knows that a part of it has been taken out, and that means that your body feels like it's going under attack. So it's all systems down until it figures out what is happening. And dependent on where that is, it can be you having a tooth removed, or it can be you having a kidney removed. They do say that kidney donors don't recover the same as people who have been given the kidney. It's actually a lot harder for a person to donate the kidney than get the kidney. And that's not just because your body is trying to figure out what it's now having to adapt to. Like, okay, I had 2 kidneys, now I have 1. What's the protocol here? I've never had this happen before. It's also mourning. Your body goes into a sense of grief. Unless you are truly understanding of the body-mind connection, that can take a very long time to get over. So there's an awful lot to digest whenever you're going through having something removed. People who have their leg amputated, they say that they can still feel an itch where the leg is no longer there. That's your body trying to tell you, I miss it. What has happened? This doesn't feel right.
I was told to leave the hospital 2 days after the surgery with Tylenol and no hormone replacement and no guidance as to what might happen to me. I was flung into surgical menopause. So hormones were everywhere. I became very suicidal. I was a basket case. So yeah, I would say that after the hysterectomy, I was mental.
I mean, like I said, her body's already gone into mourning, but this is also a major part of your body that contributes to your hormones. The thing that drives me absolutely crazy, especially when men do this, because they don't have the same complexity as women, our hormones are our chemical release, okay? We've got an awful lot of glands through our bodies and, reproductive hormones, all of that. Hormones come from everywhere. And I am a big advocate for understanding cortisol. Now, a lot of people don't understand cortisol. It is a major component that will control your entire life. And what happens with cortisol, when you are highly stressed, these glands here that sit above your kidneys release cortisol like fucking fire hydrants. So when cortisol is released, it can go into the bloodstream, the digestional tract, it can go right into your back. So a lot of people will complain about the fact that they have lower back pain and they don't know what it's from. Ta-da. Makes sense now, doesn't it? It's the same with anyone that has constipation or diarrhea during stressful times. It's because cortisol has gone straight into your digestional tract and it's going, I need to get out of this situation. It's also the same as whenever you're trying to lose weight. There's also a hormone issue that happens with men whenever it comes to cortisol and testosterone being lowered in that aspect, but that's something for another time.
When we talked on the phone, you told me that you tried to kill yourself 8 times.
I know, I counted up the times in my life that I've tried to.
In 1 year. Why?
Because they left me. They left me and they wouldn't let me see my child. His father, who never bothered with the child, snuck him into foster care behind my back while I was in hospital trying to recover. Of course, I lost the plot, raging, angry. Also, in some of my abuse as a child, my mother quite regularly was attempting to destroy my reproductive system.
Okay, so there's trigger warnings that I need to put in place just right now, okay? Okay.
Tell me what happened.
I would say she was possessed, although I'm not sure I believe in such things. Either she was just a sadist and a pedophile, or she was possessed by the devil.
When you were 8, your parents divorced after a really troubled relationship. And
well, there was no divorce in Ireland. They separated. The day my father left, we were very upset. My father had built us a shed in the garden, a hut to play in. My mother was so angry at us for being upset that he left that she said, right, if you love him that much, you can live in the shed. So from the day he left, we were living in the garden for months. She was a person who took delight, would smile in hurting you.
Wow. We have hardly touched the sides on what she has been through. And that's a lot. That is a lot. But the thing is, right, when you have... Sinead doesn't know what her mum was. Like, she was a very intelligent woman, but she has no idea what her mum was. And to be honest, we'll probably never know what her mum was. Don't know if she was schizophrenic. We don't know if she's cluster B category. We have no idea what she is. But, you know, you can have a multitude of different personality disorders or mental conditions. You can. The sadistic nature of what she's talking about here sounds like ASPD, which is antisocial personality disorder, but it can also be Machiavellian. She could have had the dark triad, which is Machiavellian, narcissism, and psychopathy. She could have been a malignant narcissist with potential schizophrenia. We don't know. Just having one of any of those traits is bad. It is not good. It is not healthy. And I really can't stand it when people turn around and say, stop diagnosing. It's like, I'm not diagnosing. I'm telling you traits. And calling someone narcissistic is not diagnosing them. We're telling them their personality style. That's not a diagnosis. For some strange reason, people like to say you're diagnosing. No. Absolutely not. Now, I will call people out when they say, oh, you're diagnosing and stuff like that. You can't diagnose. No one can diagnose through a screen. But I will say this, you can say this person is showing traits or signs of this particular personality disorder. Their traits are fitting into that. So you're allowed to say that, but you're not allowed to diagnose.
what did she do?
My earliest memory, she's telling me that I shouldn't have been born. She didn't want me. She didn't want girls. She wants me to be a boy. She dresses me like a boy. She chops my hair off. Whenever she beats me, which is daily, I'm naked. She makes me take my clothes off. I have to lie on the floor. I have to open my arms and legs. I have to let her attack my abdomen. She wants to burst my womb. She wants to destroy my reproductive. She wants to stop me being a female. So she basically, it would be sweeping brushes. She'd be stamping on me with her feet. The phone would ring in the middle of it, and she'd be like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" Her foot would be on my naked on the floor. I'm 3, 4, 5 years of age. Kindergarten, I win the prize for curling up in the smallest ball.
Yeah, that's very narcissistic. That's very narcissistic. Narcissists can, they can swap and change to present themselves differently in one situation comparatively to the next. My mum did this all the time. So my mum would be absolutely rageful towards us kids, and then someone would come to the door and she'd go, "Oh, hi, how are you? Isn't today lovely?" And meanwhile, we're just trying to catch our breath after having a hiding. So it's a very common trait with narcissism. Now, I will say this, hopefully I say this right. All psychopaths are narcissistic, but not all narcissists are psychotic. I think I said that right. My ADHD trips it up.
I remember being about 5 or so. We were meant to go somewhere for the weekend. She made me put on a dress that used to belong to my sister, and the button was missing. She beats the out of me because the button is missing off the dress, takes the dress, takes the light bulb out of my room, locks me in my room, and then everybody leaves for the weekend.
Okay. Now, there is another interview with Sinead O'Connor talking about this particular incident. She does talk about how she found God or believed in spirituality. This is why she never gave up on the idea of God, but she did not want to be anything associated with organised religion.
Your upbringing was rare, if not, it's not unique.
It's more
sadly.
common than you think,
Yeah,
sadly,
exactly.
as well. You know? I had an experience, which I won't go into the details of, but I had a very frightening experience one particular time when I was a kid, and it involved my being on my own for a couple of days, right? So in the midst of it, as part of my coping with it, I said a little prayer, and I wouldn't be in the habit of saying, which I would still nowadays say to God or whatever who you're talking to. And I really did feel, a presence come and actually be with me. And it wasn't something I expected, because I didn't think that kind of thing could happen. So anyway, that's the first time I understood that actually the Holy Spirit does respond to the human voice.
Okay, so a lot of people who say that they have had their experience of, being in absolute distress, like it's almost like your soul is screaming. There's something, I don't know what it is that makes you feel the spirit of spirituality, but there is something to do with your consciousness. Now, consciousness can be affected in many, many ways. A lot of us actually experience it. I know I certainly have. Whenever we're hungry, we start to change our shift of consciousness. We become aggravated, angry. We start acting in a different way that isn't ourselves. This can also happen in times of distress. And if she was left alone in a dark room for 2-3 days by herself from a very young age, like I think she said she was 5, that would definitely change your consciousness. So taking away all sensory and being subjected to huge amounts of torture, your consciousness can change ever so slightly with that. I am not disputing the fact that you can definitely feel a presence. I definitely felt something as well myself, and I don't know what it is. And the beautiful thing is, we'll never know the truth about what is beyond our universe. Nobody is ever going to know it all. Even the aliens don't. There is something about the beauty of being subjected to an almost state of death. I almost feel like, not to sound like, I don't want to criticize people's beliefs or anything like that, but I do feel like these experiences are the experiences that we need to wake us up, to make us understand what is actually happening in this world. I feel like Sinead's crisis at a young age woke her up massively. And that's why she became the icon that she is.
She's the type of person, she'd make you get every Bible in the house and every hockey stick. We used to be terrified. The last day of school in summer was the most unhappy day of our lives.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It's quite funny that, I don't know why I say it's funny. It's not funny, but it is for me. It's the best way that you can look at it. Everyone else is so excited for summer and all the things that you're going to do over summer. No school, it's great, no homework. When you're in an abusive household, you are not happy about those. Also, you're not happy about birthdays. Birthdays are not allowed. The worst birthday in my house was my dad's birthday. He always got it bad. Poor bastard.
She would invent reasons to beat you up. Like, she'd say the lampshade is crooked. My job was to clean the house. So if I left the lampshade a bit crooked after I dusted it, she'd beat the out of me. Daily this went on. The only thing you'd be sure of every day is you're going to get the kicked out of you when you hear the steps of her waking up. Literally, me and my brother used to pee our pants.
I will say this. There's something that happens very intuitively whenever you are brought up in these households. You feel the footsteps of different people in your house. So, for instance, if I knew my mum was going to come through the door, and I knew it was going to be her coming through the door, no matter who was in the house, all 6 of us could have been in the house, but I would know if it's her coming through that door. And she was quite a small, dainty woman, my mum. And the second that I would know from the footsteps of her coming through the hall that she was going to come through the living room. And you're constantly on edge. constantly, because you don't know if her coming through that door is going to be her wanting to start a fight or her wanting to do her own thing. And you would pray to God that she just wanted to do her own thing. So it was never good if she actually wanted to stay and talk to you.
How long did this go on?
Till I was 13, I ran away. She used to make me say over and over, I'm nothing, while she was beating me.
I am nothing?
I'm nothing, I'm nothing. That's a very small child. After a while, you begin to believe it. In fact, you are nothing.
And you've never had trauma treatment for this until right now?
This was my treatment.
I understand.
Music.
Who was protecting you?
Social services didn't exist. I mean, I had my mother put in hospital at 13 for 3 entire months, which is why I had the courage to leave, because I had 3 months freedom. My first single is a song called Troy. It talks all about, I remember at Dublin in a rainstorm, sitting in the long grass in summer, keeping warm. It keeps talking about the garden. Like, there's constant references even in my songs. If you listen to my albums from time, you know, immemorial, like, they're diaries of a person in recovery from child abuse. From song one, single one, is telling you what happened. And the reason I've done that is because I knew if I didn't tell and I didn't become well known, no one would ever have known we existed.
It's so interesting. Okay, I'm not a big expert in body language, but I do love body language and I love symbolism. It's very interesting that in that she was talking, doing this, like a pendulum swing that's about to stop. And it shows how much control, because a lot of people would just go like that there and then stop. But she did this. And this is not unconsciously. She's just doing it like that. And I think it's a big, for me, and I know that I'm reading into this potentially too much, but I see her as a person who is massively in control, who was massively in control of her life once she was able to get away from her mum, until the point that she lost her mind from kidney stones.
What happened to us in that house? There should be a monument to it.
There was a point at which she stopped abusing you, right?
Yeah. I guess I got to be the same size as her. She stopped hitting me, you know. So we developed a very good relationship between the age of 14 and 16 and a half. We had a great relationship because she was blown away that I forgave her.
Did you ever talk to her about it?
One day I did ask her, why did you do what you did to us? And she said, I never did anything. What are you talking about? And I was furious with her, raging with her, that I didn't talk to her for about 9 months. Next thing I hear, she's dead in a car crash.
Yeah, look, okay, right, wow. Again, that's narcissistic, because narcissists do not ever want to admit that they've ever done anything wrong. They never want to. I mean, I feel sick to my stomach with that, because like I said in one of my other videos, the worst thing that a survivor has to deal with is knowing that their perpetrator not only will get away with it, but they deny everything. And it's even worse when the flying monkeys do that for them as well. It's the worst feeling in the world. And that's why I genuinely don't know what's worse. Is it the abuser, or is it the flying monkeys that fly off and do the damage for the abuser? I genuinely don't know what's worse. I think it's the monkeys. Yeah, flying monkeys are worse.
Did you have unfinished emotional business with her when she died?
The whole family did. Nothing could ever be fixed again and will never be fixed again. It's very kind of God to take her. Her life was hell. You wouldn't want to be her, do you know? So I was relieved for her, relieved for me, but devastated at the loss of her. She was my best friend.
I can't understand this. I genuinely cannot understand this. And when I say that she is a remarkable woman, like, I am very, very jealous that she got to a stage of forgiveness. I tried to forgive only to be hurt again many times over. And I just decided to nothing. Because to err is human, to forgive divine. That is divine. The fact that she can actually forgive her mother for everything that she's done is one of the most insanely amazing things I've ever heard. The fact that she was able to forgive that, it's just, she is a better person than any of us. I'm still learning how to be like this. And I truly, truly, truly hope that I do. And I've actually said that the only way that I will ever forgive is whenever they go. Because to forgive them now, knowing that I'm going to get hurt, is just pointless. All of this happened to her from the time that she was a baby. We are the most vulnerable we will ever be for the rest of our lives when we are first born. We rely on everybody. We rely on our parents. We rely on caregivers. We rely on everything just to survive, because we cannot do it ourselves. And as we grow and learn and develop, then we go full circle back to another stage of vulnerability whenever we are closer to death. We come in with no preconceptions. The people that look after us have no preconceptions of the type of people that we will become. But when we are old, we have served our time and we have done the things that will determine our life ending. Because here's the thing, how you end up in your final days is determined by how you are in your past days. Ooh, I like that one. That's very philosophical of me. That's mine. I'm keeping that. You can't have it. This is a regular basis thing for me. Like, if you're ever around me in person, you will actually see that I will say some nice things every once in a while. And some of them can be very philosophical. And maybe I chose the wrong career. I don't know. Oh no, now I've forgotten what I said. It's on camera. That's okay. So yeah, better woman than me.
Will you do an experiment with me?
Is it going to make me cry?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm looking for the exit.
The first thing I want you to do with your eyes closed is I want you to picture your mother's face. Negative or positive, doesn't matter. See her eyes, see her skin, the way her hair fell over her forehead. I want you to experience the scent that identified your mother. Now, I want you to answer this question. What I resent about my mother.
She kicked the out of me.
Go on.
She won't change her clothes. She won't wash. Same for us. 5 years living in the same clothes, no washing. She never tells me I'm pretty. She never tells me I'm sweet. She makes my little brother scream. She smells sick. There was a smell about her that was sickness. Smell of evil, you know.
Smell of evil. Like, to be surrounded by it and have all of your senses tantalize and tease you to feel all of those things. It's quite triggering, and it's an understandable response to trauma. So CPTSD and PTSD, the reason why you end up getting triggered by certain things, and you can go into full panic mode, is you have been put into a similar situation or surrounded by a certain situation that has triggered the senses. So CPTSD, anything can trigger that. It can be a smell, it can be a touch, it can be a feeling, it can be anything like that. PTSD, it's usually a noise or a visual. But CPTSD, anything can trigger it. So for me, if I smell certain things, certain perfumes, I get transported straight back to my mum's dressing room. It's quite... Ooh. So there are certain smells that are not allowed to exist around me.
How did she hurt you? How did she hurt you inside?
Kicking me, kicking me, and kicking me, and kicking me, and kicking me. And telling me I'm evil, and telling me I shouldn't have been born, and I'm the reason my father left. It's my fault.
Yeah, because narcissistic people can never take responsibility for what they had contributed to something going wrong.
All right, change of question. What I wanted from my mother, I did not get.
Cuddles, love, kisses, sweet names, snuggles, sleep in the bed with her, sweet presents.
Tell me what I miss about my mother.
I hate not being able to love her.
Okay, I'll say, as someone that got starved of all of those things as well, you end up becoming the polar opposite. I am the biggest hugger, the biggest snuggler. I can't get enough of like showing affection with touch. And I would definitely say that touch is my love language. So, you know, if I'm touching you, it means that I'm showing you the affection that you deserve in certain ways. So I'm a big hugger. And my idea is that hugging is healing, because I was never given that. I genuinely cannot ever recall my mum hugging me, ever. And it's something that I'm starved of. It's something I'm deprived of. So we hone in on it. And as adults, it is our number one thing that we desire.
I hate not being able to have taken care of her, maybe given her some love back, help her. Nobody helped her. I miss her. I cannot put my arms around her and tell her I love her and that she's all right, and actually, you know, mother her. I wanted to mother her. I would have taken care of her even if she was an absolute monster.
She's so loving. This is the thing. Sinead O'Connor, an example of true love is her. And she was demonized so heavily for loving everyone else. She wanted to protect people, and she got demonized for it.
Without even thinking, what do you love about your mother?
The first thing that came to my mind actually is that she's dead, which is a very strange thing to come to mind, but I love about my mother that she's dead. I think it was very kind of her. Although I miss her horribly, I really ache for her, and I think that's part of where my suicidal instinct comes from, is that I want my mother. But I cannot wait until the day that I naturally get to heaven so that I can see my mother again.
How do you have that forgiveness? I'm so sad she's gone. There's so few people in this world that express love. We express desire, we express hatred, but we don't express love. No one expresses love. And now is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to show love. And she had so much of it through, it courses through her veins.
If you sat before your mother right now and you had 1 minute left in this world, what would you say to your mother?
I'd throw myself on her like a monkey and I'd never let go. I'd tell her, I love you, I missed you so bad, I missed you so bad. My life has been terrible, 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 terrible. I miss her so bad. Yeah. I can't wait to see her again. I tell her I love her.
I don't know. I don't get it. It's a desperation. It's a desperation for what you never had. If you are religious or spiritual and you believe in an afterlife and you believe that there's going to be something when we go from this plane, whatever it is, you believe that those will be there seeing you. You'll be seeing them again in your next life. But we also, some people believe that we'll have our understanding in the next life. I truly hope she's at peace right now. I truly hope that she got everything she wanted when she left. I really, really do. Because she was so wonderful.
Would she hurt for you? Would she feel your pain?
That I miss her? Yeah, I like to believe, and I do believe, that me forgiving her and loving her has helped her in terms of her karmic payback after death. But she knows that it's okay, because I forgive her. I tried to get my sister to forgive her. She said, no, I can't. And I had a nightmare about it that night. And I said to my mother, are you not upset that my sister can't forgive you? My mother said, I do not want what I haven't got. And that's why I call the album that.
You said she cut your hair off.
Yeah.
Why do you keep your hair shaved?
When we were children, my sister had the most beautiful red hair. But my mother took it into her head that my sister's hair was ugly and horrible and disgusting. And she started, when I had long hair, she would introduce us as her pretty daughter and her ugly daughter. And that's why I chopped my hair off. The other reason was in the music business. I was asked one day by my record company, would I grow my hair long and wear short skirts because they wanted to sell me on my sexuality. And I was like, I didn't want to be sold on that. I didn't want to be pretty. It was dangerous to be pretty too because I kept getting raped and molested everywhere I went.
Have you ever told anybody that's why you keep your hair cut short?
A couple of my friends, you know.
It's so upsetting that she felt that way about how she looked, because there are so many girls would kill to look like Sinead O'Connor back in the day, even up until her dying day. Like, she aged beautifully. I'm not objectifying her in any way. She had a face that was carved by angels. It wasn't just her voice that made her famous. She had a face of an angel. She was just so gorgeous. And that's, her beauty is rare for Ireland. Especially, like, okay, Irish people, not bad looking. Northern Irish people, like me, we don't look good. But here's the thing. I'll give a little bit of a comedy twist on this. Northern Ireland is divided between Catholics and Protestants, and only Catholics will be with Catholics and only Protestants will be with Protestants, and neither the two shall mix. You know, back in my day. The reason why a lot of us look the way that we do is because that gene pool is not that big. So the likelihood of you actually getting together with your cousin, very likely, no matter how distant. So if you look into what Northern Irish guys look like, I can always tell before a person even opens their mouth if they're from Northern Ireland, because we all look inbred. Fun fact you didn't know, we're all inbred.
When you tore the Pope's picture up on Saturday Night Live, whose picture were you tearing up?
The Pope's.
I mean, what did the Pope represent to you?
Interestingly, what people don't know is that, first of all, we in Ireland knew 10 years before you all did about child abuse within the Catholic Church. We had evidence. I was genuinely very angry with what the church were doing. By ripping that picture, you know, I risked my career, everything. I could be a billionaire now if I wanted, if I believed in that, you know what I mean?
Did you know you were going to do it when you went on?
Mm-hmm. So I had planned it for a couple of weeks. At the very end, I pull out the picture of the Pope and tear it up. Silence.
Threw it at the camera.
Silence. Everywhere. It was fantastic.
So I did make a TikTok on this, the day that I found out that she had passed away, because I was so upset learning that she had passed. And the first thing that came into my mind was the fact that in Northern Ireland, where, especially us Protestants, we were designed to hate Catholics. So, and I came from Church of Ireland, which is actually the first tearaway of the Catholic Church. It was the first one that was founded after Henry VIII wanted to pull away from the Catholic Church just because he wanted a divorce, which is another thing that we could talk about because he was a clear psychopath. My family, they already didn't like Sinead O'Connor because she was Catholic. But what shocked me to my core was the fact that my family hated her even more when she did the stunt tearing up the Pope. It didn't make any sense. In Northern Ireland, Protestants set fire to anything Catholic, including pictures of the Pope, and anything to do with Catholic ideology. I know my family was very dead against Sinead O'Connor doing what she did, but it didn't make any sense. And my mum is the biggest hypocrite in the world, obviously, because she's narcissistic. We were in Rome at the time that the Pope was having an audience with the children. This was back in 2015. And my mum was gloating and telling everybody that she was so close to the Pope because he did his little walk around the Vatican City. Like, why are you talking about this with pride? You hate the Pope. You hate anything Catholic. Even her stunt was hated by people who hated the Pope. Make sense of that if you can.
So what happened afterwards?
My manager vanished for about 3 days. He went to his hotel, just unplugged the phone. About 10 years after that I don't remember, because that's when it became acceptable and it became the norm that I was treated by everyone I knew, from family to everyone, like I was an absolutely insane, crazy person.
Totally true. She really, truly was. If anything was shown of Sinead O'Connor, ever, until the day that she died, it was always, oh, she's a mad woman. Just imagine the entire world telling you you're crazy and then completely ignoring everything about you and your experiences because you're crazy.
We've got a situation where you've gone through horrific sexual abuse, physical abuse. You've gone through serious abandonment. This leaves really scars on people. And to me, when I talk about psychological scars, It's the same as if you had a scar on your arm.
Oh, I have a few on my body from me, Mammy. Nice memories.
Yeah, that's exactly how I explain things as well. Physical scars, mental scars are exactly the same, except mental scars will be wounds for a very long time until you can actually start trying to heal them. And even when you heal them, they're quite tender to touch, but at least they're sort of healed. But a lot of people don't actually realize that trauma is going to be something that is an open wound until you start actually treating it.
You then have a hysterectomy. For some women, your hormones can change dramatically and you can become very depressed. Then we have to understand that a part of your sexual abuse is your mother stomping on your reproductive system. Now here they come at age 49 and somebody says, okay, we are taking your reproductive system. It's not a real stretch to think that that triggers,
Of course.
okay, here we go. My mother, she's getting her way. So I start asking myself, not why you're reacting the way you are, but why not?
Exactly. Can I high five you?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
100% spot on. Like I said, it is a very traumatic experience to have a part of your body removed, but there is so much trauma in that. And so many people were just there were a lot of people that were concerned for Sinead O'Connor, which is beautiful, and I'm so glad. There were others that were, saying, well, this is just typical Sinead O'Connor. No, it's not. Like I said, I genuinely don't know if a lot of people have souls, because if you don't have empathy, it's hard for me to think that you have a soul. Also, even if you do have empathy, but you're a flying monkey. Just saying.
Okay, so now...
That's what I've been screaming at, but no one can hear me. And you know why? It's because I'm Sinead O'Connor, the artist who ripped up the picture of the Pope.
Did you feel that you were left to die alone?
Yeah, I was left to die alone. I mean, my family principally, really, the final reason that they buggered off on me was because I was suicidal, because I made a suicide attempt.
Okay, I'm going to get... I always put my personal experience in with this because that's the way I can relate and the way that a lot of people can relate to. I finally had the guts to speak about this 8 months after being with my therapist, that we would actually talk about me not wanting to take my life anymore. And I realized after I had nearly passed away that I didn't want to go. My therapist told me of a study that had been done on survivors from the Golden Gate Bridge. So the Golden Gate Bridge is a very common spot for people to jump off and end everything. But there are survivors. And 9 out of 10 of the survivors that were interviewed said that they realised they had made a mistake halfway down. Some of us are lucky enough to get that second chance. Some of us are not. But Sinead tried so many times to end everything. And the fact that she was unable to be successful so many times. So I don't think I will ever be able to give Sinead O'Connor the commemorative thing that she deserves. But I will say this. If we could all stand up against everything that is evil in this world and be able to find love, compassion, and forgiveness, how much better would this world be? These are things that I'm still working on, and I don't expect an awful lot of people to get on that bandwagon straight away, but it is something that I'm very passionate about. And I couldn't be more grateful that in our lifetime, we had someone so brave and so compassionate towards everyone. So, thank you so much for listening, guys. I truly hope that this was a great celebration of understanding a magnificent woman and appreciating everything that she was. And I truly hope that she has what she dreamed of, which is being with her son and being with her mum. And we can only dream of the fact that we can
get that level of compassion and forgiveness. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Thank you so much. And as of this recording, I'm actually sitting on 100 subscribers. So thank you so much for all of you who are doing this and sharing and liking and commenting. It means so much, and it boosts up in the algorithm. So please keep going. It would be fantastic for this to be a true source of understanding. And I have big dreams and a lot of things that I really want to do, not just for this channel, but for you as well. So guys, have a wonderful week. Please like, subscribe, comment, do whatever. It's not going to affect me. I'm already traumatized. So take care, guys. Have an amazing week, and I will see you next time for another episode of Trauma Pond HQ. Mwah.